Meowth? Oh, that's cool. What is this one? I love that one.
I want that Firefox.
The elephant is a precious little baby.
All right, let's
Okay.
let's not look too close at this so we can get like more live impressions.
Breaking news. I just saw that there are some Porkemon. What?
Porkemon.
What am I doing?
Let's go look at them more Pokemon.
Porkemon. Oh, that's got to be a porno. Oh, gross. Hello, my Fatal Cuties. Friends, thank you for joining us today on the Nintendo Everything Podcast, episode 52.
Yeah, this is our 1 year episode.
You don't speak yet. This is still my section.
Oh, sorry.
My name is Oni Dino. With me from SNK, I have Nakaruru's eldest cousin, Gala Woo Woo, or as I like to call him, Galen.
I honestly have no idea who that person is, but I love the name Galen Woo Woo.
It's not Galen Woo. It's. Do I need to tell you your own name? Gala Woo Woo is what it is.
I love it. Refer to me that for the rest of the episode. Please and thank you.
No. So Nakaru is the tiny little terrible girl with the hawk. And the coolest thing about her is that she has a hawk that she fights with.
And that's her only characteristic.
No, she's probably got more. It's just I don't really care about her, so I haven't looked into her or anything like that. There's so many cooler characters in SNK fighting games, and she's just one of the weaker ones that, for whatever reason, gets a ton of popularity. And it's just like, ugh, so tired of seeing you.
Is she popular because she has the hawk?
She's probably popular because she's a 12-year-old and pedophilia.
Anime!
Japan!
I was about to say, for the listeners at home, he's actually going through the list and saying what he doesn't want to talk about.
So much. There's so much about video games I don't want to talk about.
This? No. This one? No, that's stupid. This one? Oh, maybe. Nah.
Blizzard's non-apology? Swipe right.
Exactly.
Diablo 4? Swipe right.
Wait, is it swipe right or swipe left?
I don't know. I don't have any of those apps. I have a husband.
Yeah.
Do you want to reveal right now on the podcast that you do have those apps, and then your wife is going to listen to it? She's going to be like, Galen!
She just calls out from the other room.
Yeah.
For the record, I think it is swipe left, now that I'm thinking about it.
Okay, so left is to discard, right is good?
Yes.
Like from left to right, or from right to left?
Like, if you're holding it from the center of the image, you swipe right.
From left to right?
Yes.
Boy, is this pathetic. So, for those of you just joining us, Jesus, I'm so sorry. Like, by statistics, literally every episode is someone's first episode, and I'm so sorry if this is your first episode. Jeez. We are a weekly show. Episodes go live every Sunday, bright and early if you are in the States. We are on all the podcast platforms, iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, you name it, we're there. So please take a brief moment to rate us on your podcast listening platform of choice. It is the best way to support our show.
I'm really kind of sad that you didn't say swipe right on our show.
Swipe right on giving us a review, especially on Apple Podcasts, because that is our overwhelmingly largest listening platform for listeners, so it helps us get discovered through RNG magic.
Wait, did we actually say what we're talking about on this episode yet?
And so in this episode, we're going to be talking about lots of interesting comments that Nintendo has made with their financial briefings over the past couple of days, especially about 3DS titles. Or 3DS franchises, I should say, coming to Nintendo Switch potentially. So we're going to muse on that. There's a lot of good ones, a lot of hits.
There are quite a few. A couple that I'm very excited to put out into the ether to try to get some response back for these ones.
Also, Terry Bogard, my homeboy, might be coming very, very soon to the Super Smashy Brothers. My favorite pick of all of the DLC is Terry Bogard.
On a scale of 1 to SNK, how excited are you for Terry Bogard?
So from on a scale of Nakaruru to Terry Bogard, I am probably...
Take it easy!
That excited. Like, Geese would be right in the middle, and then Iori would be a little bit later. But Terry Bogard is just a perfect, beautiful setup.
I'm like alternate SNK heroines tag team frenzy excited.
So not excited at all? Indifferent?
Yeah.
The best thing to come out of that game was Terry Bogard himself, the actual character, just being turned into a woman in that game and being like, why am I a woman? Why am I a Fatal Cutie now? So let's move into what we've been playing this week with our adventure log.
Adventure log.
Christina Aguilera now? Is that what's going on?
Well, you know what? It is season 2. I thought I would change something up, although I'm still waiting for you to jump in and for you to start singing the intro outros a little bit. Give me one. Give me one this episode where during a transition you sing the title of it.
No. Maybe.
Please?
I don't know.
All right.
You'll just have to stay tuned. Oh, God. Jesus Christ.
I love the infliction that you said that with.
I have so much cynicism currently inside of me. It's venomous, even.
Remember, guys, like, comment, and subscribe if you want to go ahead and hear that. It just sounds so bad.
Yeah, I'm letting you sit there. I'm letting you ferment in your own garbage seat. You got Roddy stank all over you.
Gross.
So, Galen, let me tell you about this game.
What game is this?
This is Atelier Ryza.
Ah.
Ever Darkness and the Secret Hideout.
This game definitely rings some bells.
Oh, like Anita, whatever her name is, you can ring my bell?
Yes.
This is a joke from
exactly
the 70s.
What I meant.
Anyway, we of course have been talking about this game for quite a while. It's been on a lot of people's radars. So the Atelier series is a very long-running series. And for many, many different reasons, the newest entry in this series, Atelier Ryza, has been getting a ton of press and a whole bunch of good reviews, and honestly, they're well received. I started playing this just the other day. For those of you who don't know what this game is, this is a coming-of-age story. It's an RPG mixed with synthesizing, because you are playing as an alchemist.
I see what you did there.
Yeah, I didn't even mean to. I'm full of creativity. It just flies out of me like a bird.
Would you say that your creativity is rising?
You should have left it there. You should have just left it. So the Atelier series is always a coming-of-age story, and if I know correctly, God, my English, if I am knowledgeable enough, I think it's that they always involve a female character. It's always a female coming-of-age story, growing up with friends, that kind of thing. And Ryza is no different in that regard. This entry, though, instead of Ryza being like super effeminate and super ladylike, she is the daughter of a farmer. So she is very much spunky, tomboyish. It was much more my style, so I decided to give this game a shot. It was looking really beautiful, and I had never tried out an entry in the Atelier series, so this was my first foray, and I am so enthralled with this game. This game is super charming.
Nice.
Yeah. So with the story, the producer, Junzo Hosoi, said that he was watching The Goonies, Stand By Me, and Stranger Things when he was working on the game. So the childhood friendship that this game has those undertones to it. I'm not very far into the story or anything right now, but I can't wait to see where it goes, because I know that something real serious happens.
Let's hope it's more Goonies and less Stand By Me.
Yeah, I love the Goonies. I really hope it's the Goonies. So far in the story, it started off with like friends having a meeting at Ryza's house, and then they all go on an adventure around the village, and it feels super authentic, super charming. All the kids are like around 15-ish or 16-ish.
Okay.
So
proper anime protagonist stage.
yes, of course. Like, you play as Ryza, a 15-year-old with the body of a 28-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she's got thick thighs and titties like wow. It's a little disconcerting, but whatever. Moving past that. Anyway, setting that aside, because maybe I'll talk about that later. For right now, I just want to say that it feels really good being together with the kids. Everything feels really authentic. So you go out discovering, and you find like another girl who's getting chased by a monster, and then you're like, oh, okay, we're gonna save this girl from this monster, and then the monster ends up being like way too much for you, and you guys are like, oh my god, what are we gonna do? And like, we're getting attacked. We went outside of the village, which, you know, we're not really supposed to go. Everybody kind of yells at us for doing that and putting ourselves in danger. Then right before the monster strikes them, suddenly a bomb goes off, and they're like, whoa, what? And you see like the whole thing through Ryza's perspective, because Ryza is your protagonist.
That escalated quickly.
It does. And then Ryza sees these two people jump in and save them. And the one guy is an alchemist himself, and he saves them using alchemy. And Ryza is just completely awestruck in that moment. And it's a really great introduction and really good storytelling device for the player, because you get a great sense of like, what is alchemy and why does Ryza love it, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So Ryza is not an alchemist at this point. She's just a girl who desires adventure and doesn't want to just be a farmer and help out her parents all the time. So then from that moment, you get to know these two other characters that are traveling, and they're not part of the town. And then you go back to the town and you see your family and you see all the villagers of the town that you're a part of, and they're all mad at you, and they're upset because you caused trouble, you went outside of the village, and you made everybody worry. And then there's two bullies in town that they establish early on. And then these bullies, you know, kind of embarrass them and, you know, say that, you know, they're just really terrible villagers, you know, they're really terrible people of their town. So everybody's really depressed, really dejected about a lot of different things, and they go home, and Ryza's depressed, and then her friends come over later on to cheer her up because they know where the two alchemists that save them are in town. They're renting a place on the outskirts of town, so they're all like, Ryza, come on, let's all go, and like, you can learn alchemy. And it's really cute, and it's a fantastic way of friends cheering each other up that feels very authentic.
It has that young innocence that goes along with like the kind of friendship that you build around that age.
Yeah. The characters are, you know, tropey, but well fleshed out, especially as I've played through the game. Ryza is spunky, and she has a thirst for adventure. She gets into trouble all the time and pulls her friends into trouble. And her mom is always like, ugh, what have you gotten yourself into this time? It's so funny.
That does sound like a lot of fun.
And then one of her other friends, Tao, is like this nervous little kid, and he's kind of a bookworm, and he always wants to play it safe. He reminds me of Milhouse from The Simpsons, but without the goofiness. Part of his character is that he's always reading up on these magic books that are written in an old foreign language, and he's working to translate them, and he feels like a strong connection to do that because of something with his great-grandfather who passed away suddenly, and his great-grandfather knew how to read them or something like that. I don't know, I have to learn more about him. Mm-hmm. And then another character that you have is Lent, and he's the bigger guy that you might have seen in promo material, and he's got a bit of an inferiority complex. He's nice and he's smart and he's not a meathead, so I'm glad he's not that trope, because he's, you know, big and strong. Yeah. He has an inferiority complex where he really wants to show everybody that he's strong, and I think that this really stems, and I was really surprised by this character development, this stems from his mother leaving the family and his father being a drunk, and that's why the mother left. So his father is a drunk, and his father beats him regularly too. So you constantly see in town these little clashes between he and his father. It's just like well written, well fleshed out little character moments that you didn't expect to see out of these, you know, anime tropes.
Okay.
And so the gameplay is you go out and you adventure, you gather materials to synthesize. You use gathering tools, and depending on which gathering tool you use, it will change the yield of materials that you get from the same destructible object. So you can destroy a bush, and if you destroy it with a hatchet, then you'll get, you know, X material. But if you destroy it with a scythe, then you get Y material. So that's really fun.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. That's kind of cool.
And the battles are super exciting. I actually, there's so many different facets of these games, and battles is just a sliver of it. I love the battles so much because they're so fast-paced. They're active time battles. It's got a dynamic camera. It's so exciting. I wish that there was actually more battling in this game, just because I love the battle system so much.
Yeah.
There's actually not a whole lot of things going on, but because it's so fast-paced, it can feel a little overwhelming at first. At first I was like, what is going on? What is going on? But as I was playing along, I was like, oh no, this is a cinch. This is all completely standard, turn-based kind of stuff, except it's not entirely turn-based. It's active time turn-based.
Okay. What exactly are the kind of things that they throw at you that confused you at the beginning, or overwhelmed you at the beginning?
So there are these certain things called tactics levels, where you build up AP, which you get by attacking an enemy. Each hit is 1 point of AP. Once you get, and it's shared by everybody in the party. Once you get 10 AP, you can press select, which I hate that it's actually select because it's just an awkward button to press. I wish it was a trigger or something like that. But yeah. You press select, and then it ups your tactics level to 2, and then it puts your AP down to 0, and your tactics level being at 2 means that when you go in for the attack, you can optionally do 2 attacks instead of 1, and then so on and so forth to 3 attacks. AP is also used to use your magic as well, and everybody shares 1 AP pool. So there's a little bit of strategy in that. So you get to choose, do I want to be using powerful magic right now, or do I want to build stuff up? And then if I build my tactics level up, my magic increases also in power. So there's some good layers there, but it's nothing complicated at all.
Well, and it kind of begs the question of, if this battle that you're getting into, are you wanting to get it to get over with quickly, or are you looking to pace yourself and kind of go for the long game?
That's true.
So, yeah.
I really enjoy the battle system, honestly. Super, super love it.
Neat. Sounds unique.
And then I'm going to keep playing this game for sure because I have a lot of things to say about it already, but I want to save a little bit for next week and so on. But I am absolutely enthralled with this game. Love the audio design. It's supposed to be like a summer adventure. Kids going on summer holiday and having adventures then, and it really does evoke those kinds of feelings. And so with the sound design, there's cicadas and birds chirping, and I love cicada sounds. They're like those bugs that always make that kind of sound. You know what I'm talking about? Some places don't have them just because of the climate, but most places that are humid have them.
Mm-hmm. They are all over the place in Japan.
Yes. And personally, I just love that sound. Something about it is just really relaxing to me. I'm really enjoying the sound design in this game, and the music, oh my god, it's so whimsical, almost Ghibli-esque, just because it's has a lot of woodwind instruments, and it just feels like it's flowing and it's taking you on a little journey, and you're just full of wonderment and you're bright-eyed. It really is just a happy feeling when I'm playing that game.
That's really cool. I love games that utilize the music to give you, as an undertone, to give you that kind of emotional response as to what you associate with the game.
Totally. This game excels in that.
Nice. I like that.
And the visuals are great too, especially on the Switch version. I was a little bit worried, okay, well, this is on PS4 and Switch, how's it going to look on Switch kind of thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
It looks fantastic. There's excellent colors and bloom and blur happening everywhere. It kind of reminds me of the visual style of Wind Waker on the Wii U, the remaster on that.
Okay.
Just because the bloom is used in super strong effect at certain times of the day, just to really drive home the beating sun that you feel on an island. And the performance is super smooth on Switch too, which was a big relief. I was afraid it was going to be choppy or something like that. It's super smooth.
That's really good to hear.
There's very few frame rate drops that I've noticed from time to time. Very little pop-in, and when you do see pop-in, it's in the very, very distance, which can be a problem, with some Koei Tecmo games. So I'm really glad to see that this is a very, very solid performing game on the Nintendo Switch in handheld mode and on the TV. And that's great because in handheld mode, you're going to be playing that all the time because this is such a relaxing game to play, and you're going to be, go out and, find some more materials, come back, do some synthesizing. It's a very relaxing game to play. So you're going to be chilling in bed and playing the game a little bit before you go to bed, or maybe you'll be playing it while you're watching something on the TV or something like that. It's definitely a game that can be, what's that called? Passively played.
That sounds like a lot of fun. It sounds it sounds really relaxing the way you describe it.
It truly is. I love when there's a video game that makes me feel super relaxed to play. In a weird way, I get that with a lot of Koei Tecmo games, like Warriors games. I find it really relaxing, to do all the killing and stuff like that. But this is, of course, I just heard what I said.
I'm gonna take that soundbite. I have that soundbite now.
Just heard what I said. But this one is definitely more relaxing than that, even though I do find that other kind of Warriors gameplay to be relaxing to me. So anyway, this is definitely a good game to jump in the Atelier series. I can't believe I haven't jumped into the Atelier series before. This one is just so refined, so I can't wait to keep playing more and give more impressions.
You heard it here first, folks. Atelier Ryza, more comfortable and relaxing than murder.
And then Galen, why don't you tell me what you've been slaying?
I have been slaying all of the ghosty spooks in Luigi's Mansion 3.
Tell me about it. This just came out.
It literally did. I've only gotten an hour of gameplay into it. No, the game's a lot of fun. It's been a while since I last played a Luigi's Mansion game, so there were a couple things that I needed to remind myself going in. For one, when you're actually playing it, you're going off of a very simplified version of tank controls. And what? I kind of forgot that. Yeah, I was expecting that when you're going around, you would, I was expecting, I don't know why, but to, rotate the camera around or something like that. But no, that's not what you do in the game. It's all stationary camera focused directly on you. And especially when you are shining your flashlight or trying to look at a particular area, I found myself using tank controls for, rotating them around to get them into the right spot.
Are you sure this is tank controls? Because I played the E3 build and it was not tank controls. I think.
How was it when you played?
Are you misremembering what a tank control is?
Yes.
If you press up on your control stick or your D-pad, you always move the character forward.
Oh, that is not what I'm referring to. But
You're such a fake gamer.
But what I'm referring to is the finer motions of aiming Luigi around.
Okay.
It was different because you would go ahead and hold the controller in a direction hey, I want you to go ahead and point it at the lower corner of the screen. But if he's facing a different direction, what direction he actually rotates on is sometimes different than what you would actually use. You see what I'm saying?
No, I don't, but go on.
Controls aside, it's just a little bit of a different way to play the game, but I'm totally okay with that. I feel like I have acclimated to it pretty quickly.
Okay.
There is so much personality and character in Luigi.
Yeah.
He is so expressive in absolutely everything. And even just in the first couple of minutes of the game, you end up falling into a laundry chute area. And even when he's walking by, some clothes or something fall off of a counter and it startles him. It doesn't make you stop moving or anything, but you hear him go, "Oh no." And then he his entire body posture just gets straight and rigid, and he's just moving and kind of shuffling in the same pace and everything. It doesn't interfere with the gameplay, but it just, you can get that feeling and that personality from him, and I love it.
Yeah, yeah.
Speaking of personality, I do want to call out one thing in the beginning intro of the game. Toad can't drive worth shit.
Oh. Well, that's understandable. He's got these short little stubby arms. He's so tiny he can't really see.
Yeah, but he was on Mario Kart, so he should know better.
What's that up there? Is that a banana peel? I can't see it. Oh, no!
Yeah, basically. Pretty much. Like, if you're playing, watch the intro and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. Because I actually was thinking as they, like, pull up into the main hotel and he, like, drifts the bus into the area and just bashes into the gate to kind of, like, go into the intro area. And
That sounds like perfect driving to me.
That's terrible. That's terrible driving.
Yeah!
Well, he did always choose Toad when he played Mario Kart, so I guess I shouldn't be surprised.
I do. I like Toad and Shy Guy.
I also kind of like that they took the Mario and Luigi approach when it comes to the vocals in this game.
Uh-huh.
Like, Luigi has a lot of, incoherent sound bites that you can really kind of get an impression of what he's trying to say. Like, oh no, ooh, whatever. And it's just like mumbling and just like makes no sense, but you know exactly what he's saying all the time.
It reminds me a bit of the Mario and Luigi stuff on the handhelds where they'd be like,
yeah, exactly that. And when you first get into the hotel, there's a lobby area, and you actually get a chance to walk around and talk to everybody before you like get into the actual gameplay stuff. So it's more scenery, world building type things. And you talk to Mario, and he's like, "Oh, ravioli, It's a lot of fun.
Ravioli.
Exactly. It is kind of weird that the Polterpup is just casually like there, and it's just completely accepted in this world.
Yeah.
I get it, and I kind of like him as the mascot there, but they don't do anything to explain his presence or anything. They just kind of figure, frick it, it's the third game, just put him in. They're fine with this.
Yeah, sure. He was a loved character from the second one, right?
Yeah, and you know what? Respect to that. I will give props to just kind of like accepting, oh, hey, you know what? We've done this before, so here's this, fun creature in this world.
I love that Luigi is still terrified of ghosts and stuff, even though he has been through 2 games worth of it and also has a pet ghost dog. Still. Mm-hmm. He's like, oh my god!
I really do also like how they use the ghost dog as almost like a waypoint marker. Like, he usually runs off into the other room, and you can tell where you're supposed to go as long as you try to follow the dog. Even when he's like, oh, I'm going to go ahead and float up into the ceiling and go through the ceiling, I just said to myself, oh, hey, okay, I need to go upstairs, because follow that dog.
That's nice.
Yeah. I'm very excited to get my hands on this game a little bit more. I'm especially excited to try out the co-op. My wife has expressed interest in playing, so I'm really excited to just hand her the controller and be like, I'll be Luigi. All right, let's do this.
Aw, you do love her. You're not making her be Luigi.
Exactly. My one complaint that I have with the game so far, I wish they would have put in a run button. That's it. Like, that was my first impression when I started to have free control of him. I started pushing all the buttons like, okay, what button makes him go a little bit faster?
Interesting.
If you're holding down the button or a direction for an extended time, he does break out into a run. He does start to go faster. But I feel like a good portion of this game is all about exploring the area around you and finding all those little like nooks and crannies that you can get a couple of extra dollars or gold bars or coins out of. And having a dedicated hold to run button would have been so much nicer, as opposed to confirming it in the long run by running in a certain direction for a certain amount of time.
Interesting. I'm going to have to see how I feel about that when I play it, but for me, I actually feel the opposite, but for the same reason. I think that it won't bother me because I am spending so much time looking around these environments, I'm not going to be rushing through them.
Yeah, it's just his casual meandering pace, I feel, could have been sped up a little bit more. I found myself it's like, hey, I want to go over there. I know what I want to investigate. Why do I have to wait an extra like second or two in order to get there? But I mean, that's really my only complaint in the first hour of playing it. Go and have a good Luigi time.
So you're going to have some more impressions for us next week?
Most definitely. I'm really excited to get some... this just came out yesterday. I had no time to play it at all because I was giving candy out to trick-or-treaters and carving pumpkins. And other than that, like, I played a little bit this morning, and it's a lot of fun, so I'm excited to get a more in-depth impression of it.
Cool. So I am looking forward to that then.
Yeah. Luigi time.
I'm also looking forward to playing it myself, though.
Is this going to be something that you guys are playing on Game Married?
I was thinking about it, yeah.
Yeah.
So stay tuned to my YouTube channel that I play with my husband. Game Married on YouTube. GAYME Married. Maybe we're going to be playing that soon.
Nice. I have a confession to make. I haven't caught up in the last, 2 episodes that you put up, so...
Well, you're gonna have to just get caught up. I'm dying today. I don't know what's going on with me. I'm just dying. I'm just full of dye. I'm stressed right now. I think that's my problem. I have a lot of things coming up.
Yeah.
And so, in addition to this, I have another game to talk about.
Oh?
Yeah, I've been playing a game called Dusk Diver.
Oh!
You don't know what this game is. What is that reaction?
No idea.
So this game has been, it was announced quite a while for the Nintendo Switch, and it finally just came out. It's on PC, Switch, and PS4. It is kind of hack and slash beat 'em up.
Okay.
That visually looks very, very Shin Megami Tensei and Persona inspired.
Ooh.
So it's got a really striking anime art style.
More anime.
More anime. I've got so many opinions on it. For someone who doesn't really watch anime, hardly at all, or read manga, I sure play the damn anime video games.
What was the last anime that you watched?
Some One Piece.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I would catch some One Piece when Cliff was watching it, my husband, just because he loves that show. So sometimes I'd catch it, and I've learned quite a bit through it. What I need to watch is some Fairy Tail, because Fairy Tail is coming out real soon from Koei Tecmo.
Mm-hmm. I just want to rewatch Cowboy Bebop. That's it.
All the time.
Cowboy Bebop, Outlaw Star, Trigun, and Yu Yu Hakusho. Give me those 4 series, and I'll just loop them and just be happy.
Yes. And Outlaw Star has such a good English dub, too.
Right?
It is an outlier for sure, especially during that era of anime dubs.
So, I don't know if this will make it onto the show, but did I ever tell you that I actually started to write an Outlaw Star abridged script?
I think you might have. Tell me about it.
It was halfway of the first episode that was written, and I think it was 2-3 years ago, the guys who do Dragon Ball Z Abridged, Team 4-Star, they were putting on a contest where they were going to showcase, they were going to showcase a fellow abridged series, so it was a contest, and I really was thinking, you know what? I think this is a unique idea. I don't think anybody will really do it because nobody really talks about Outlaw Star anymore. So let's see what I can do. Didn't finish the script in time. So
Story of Galen's life.
Exactly.
you don't manage your time properly, and then you're like, I did half of it.
Time management is terrible.
Yeah, it is. Showing up for the podcast late every damn time.
I was particularly proud of this one scene, though. It was in the first episode when Gene is spending a night with a lady companion, and he is thinking thoughtfully on, space in the history of, what he wants to do, and it's supposed to be, in the show, this very, thoughtful kind of, character development scene. I just turned that into him quoting Neil deGrasse Tyson, talking about space.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, I was really proud of that joke.
Oh, that was a joke?
Yeah, it was supposed to be. That's the other story of my life.
A 5-star
it was supposed to be
script.
A joke. Anyway, we were talking about not anime.
So, yeah, getting back to Dusk Diver, which isn't anime. Oh my god, one of my favorite... I have to tell this story. One of my favorite moments from hanging out with a few friends when we were back in Tokyo is one of my friend's friends, who is an American. He really likes somebody called Kizuna Ai, who is a YouTube, I guess, Let's Player or something like that. But she's an anime girl. Like, she's not a real person, and she's voiced by a real person, of course. And I don't really know anything about her. I've probably seen her in passing or something. But anyway, he got...
You mean like she's an anime personality that they constructed as a Let's Player?
She is a anime drawing. A anime. And then somebody voices her. So instead of the person showing themselves playing the video game, they show like Kizuna Ai in the corner talking about the game or whatever while the game is being played by a real person.
Gotcha.
I think that's what's going on.
Okay.
I'm sure the Kizuna Ai fanboys are going to be typing away with the little clicky clackies angry at me right now because I'm explaining it wrong.
All four of them are absolutely irate right now.
No, actually, it's huge, apparently. I had no idea. It's huge. Send us in some emails so that way we can get a sample size.
Prove me wrong. Yeah.
NintendoEverythingPod@gmail.com. So anyway, this is all off the rails. Thank you for still hanging out here, everybody listening.
Year, ladies and gentlemen.
Shut up. He somehow won a body pillow of her, because I know he didn't specifically go and buy the body pillow of her, though I am happy to criticize him. Shouldn't say that. And then I was like, what is this anime shit you got? Because I came back and saw my friends, and he just had this big old anime body pillow. I was like, what is this anime shit? Like, what's the shit that you're holding and walking around with? And he is pointing at this stupid body pillow and says to me in the most earnest freaking way, "Oh no, this isn't anime." And I was like, am I taking crazy pills? What? This isn't an anime? This is the most anime shit I ever saw in my life. I feel like somebody had a chicken and they were like, "Oh, hey, this is my new dog." And I was like, what are you talking about? This is clearly a chicken, you know? I was losing my mind. Back to Dusk Diver, everybody. I've been playing Dusk Diver on the Nintendo Switch. So the visuals, heavily Persona-inspired. It doesn't hide it at all. It's got lots of primary and vibrant colors. Like I said, it's set in modern-day Taiwan. It's set in the real town of Ximending, which is kind of like a pedestrian hotspot. So there's lots of foot traffic, lots of shops, lots of street shopping and food places and stuff like that. And you play as this girl named Yang Yumo, and she is just going to Ximending trying to meet up with a friend for lunch or something like that, and somehow they get transported to this Tron-looking alternate dimension called Yoshanding. And Yoshanding and Ximending are, in Chinese characters, almost the exact same characters, just with like one or two strokes that are a little bit different. I wonder if there's like a significance to this in the story. I've only been playing it a little bit, so I'm wondering if there's going to be a significance to the story. But anyway, you get transported to the alternate dimension, and then you're almost attacked by some monsters, and you get saved by these guardians who are in the area. Please follow me on this. They're in the area by order of these gods who reside in Quenlin. Quenlin is a mystical mountain range in Chinese mythology. Is there gonna be a test
after this?
I know, right? That's what it feels like. But it's so front-loaded. It's super front-loaded when you start up the game. But again, I've only played this a little bit, so I'm sure it's gonna be making more sense as I keep going. So you get saved by this guardian. His name is Leo, and he looks like a gangster. They even make a bunch of jokes about it being a gangster. And so they bring you back to the convenience store that the other guardian runs in the real town of Ximending. And I know, and the convenience store boss isn't a person, it's a guardian, but it's taking the form of this little round bear statue with this little salmon on top of its head. It's bonkers.
Okay.
It's super bonkers. I'm loving just how outrageous it is.
This sounds like an anime.
This is an anime for sure.
If there is any doubts that this is an anime, I just looked up the collector's edition of this game, which totally comes with a two-sided body pillow.
Oh my god, seriously?
Seriously.
That's the most anime shit. So, anyway, Leo, the Guardian, ends up giving, who is a human form, he's a humanoid form, he ends up giving you powers when you go over to the alternate dimension, Yoshanding. He gives you these powers inadvertently. He doesn't try to do this, and then he gets transformed into this tiny little version of himself where he's like an adorable yet fierce stone lion. This is going to get explained in the story somehow, but some guardians get transformed into these like slightly different versions of themselves. So he can't fight for himself. So his powers get transferred over to you, and then now you're like this like punch girl who has flowy fire hair, and you end up going around beating everybody up. I think that's the easiest way I could have explained this.
You know what? I will accept every bit of that explanation.
This game has a ton of personality to it. It super does.
I take it this is one that you're going to dive more into.
Yes, I'm going to dive deeper into the Dusk. So the gameplay, I don't know if I even said this earlier, but it's like I did. So it's like a beat 'em up. It's like hack and slash beat 'em up, similar to Warrior stuff, where there's light and heavy attacks to do combos and super flashy attacks. But there's also a third button thrown into the mix where you summon your Guardian, and depending on what button inputs you do, your Guardian comes in and does a different kind of attack too. So it has lots of really nice layers to it, lots of variety.
That's really cool. And you usually don't see a beat 'em up that has that kind of like that seems to be so narrative driven.
Yeah, sure, yeah, we'll go with that. I'm enjoying my time with how little I've spent with it, but I'm going to be spending a lot more time with it for next week too. Performance-wise, it is doing the best it can on Switch. There are frame drops and there are slowdown in the main city of Shimanding, but thankfully there's not that many drops during combat where it really matters. I haven't had it affect gameplay at all, so it's not a problem for me. The resolution feels kind of low. It feels like maybe it's doing 720p max. It feels like probably it's lower in handheld, but that's just my assumption. I'm not great with that, with just my eyes. My eyes are bad. I got the shit eyes. Yeah. Like visually it's fine, but I would love to see a Switch and PC comparison just to see, how much of a difference it is.
All right. And I know that in a on a smaller screen it's kind of hard to tell those resolution differences too, so
yeah, in some ways, like with most Switch ports, or I don't know if this is really a Switch port, whatever. With most games that are Switch versions that have a version on another console, sometimes the handheld version looks better, even though like on a pure visual numbers graph, it's actually performing worse because the smaller screen hides those imperfections.
Yeah.
But I'm playing it in a mix of TV and handheld mode, and I'm not noticing much of a difference. And visually, it's fine for me. I'm enjoying it because the art direction is so strong. So we'll see how I get on with it.
I'm excited to hear more about this crazy anime game.
Yeah, if you're looking for a beat 'em up or a warrior style game that is, and this is a smaller game too. It's made by kind of an indie studio in Taiwan. It's not a full price game, nor is it a super long game from what I can tell. So this is a nice bite-sized game for sure.
Okay. All right.
Oh, I do have to say though, the localization is interesting.
Is it rough?
I wouldn't say it's rough, but there's a lot of mistakes that me as a localizer, I notice for sure. Especially because I speak Japanese and I speak some Chinese, so I'm noticing some differences. I'm wondering if the English version was translated from the Japanese version, and this was originally written in Chinese. I'm wondering if that's the case because I'm noticing, I can't think of specifics off the top of my head, but I did take screenshots to talk about them next week. I'm noticing some linguistic things that I'm like, ooh, that's weird. Like, okay, obviously they didn't have the pronoun of who was being talked about here. So, but by context. So like, I think that they didn't have the context. They only had the text. So text-wise, you don't know who is being talked about here in Japanese. but in English it would be obvious, and in Chinese it would probably be obvious, but they used the wrong pronoun. Like they said, oh, it was he instead of it was me or whatever. And that happens sometimes, and sometimes they drop an article as well, as if it was translated by an advanced English speaker who is a native speaker of Chinese, maybe.
Okay.
If people speak Chinese, I think you'll understand what I mean, where, sometimes an article is not there, like the or and you're like, oh, whoop, that's missing. And I don't know. It's not marred my experience, but just as a localizer, I notice it myself.
That is a very interesting perspective.
Yeah, I would love for whoever is in charge of the localization to hire me. I'll pop my collar right now. Hire me, and I will do a little bit of editorial work.
Maybe you'll get a free Dusk Diver body pillow out of it.
It's not anime though. This body pillow is not an anime.
Did you see the link that I just sent you?
No. Let me look at it. Hold on.
Yeah.
Where'd you put it?
It's on
Messenger?
Facebook. Yeah.
Oh, I never. Oh God, this is a character I haven't even met yet.
And you're telling me that is not an anime?
No, this is not an anime. Not an anime. God. Okay, I'm gonna put this in the thumbnail. So let's move on to the news.
It's time for the news. Boom, 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 boom.
What is this? Why are you just making things up right now?
Season 2!
But before we do, we're going to take a word from our sponsor. This week, the podcast is sponsored by Koei Tecmo.
Hey guys!
What up, Koei Tecmo?
Yeah!
So, dear listeners, are you looking for a new role-playing game to play this holiday season? Then check out Koei Tecmo's beautiful new title, Atelier Ryza, Ever Darkness, and the Secret Hideout. This is a brand new storyline arc in the popular Atelier series and follows teenage tomboy Ryza as she sets out on an adventure in hopes of leaving her mundane life behind. Along the way, she learns the magical ways of alchemy while discovering something evil lurking beneath the surface of her tiny island. Can Ryza and her ragtag group of friends save her hometown in this Stranger Things-inspired adventure? Buy the game today to find out. Atelier Ryza, Ever Darkness, and the Secret Hideout is available now across North America, Europe, and Japan for the Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 4, and Windows PC via Steam. Thank you, Koei Tecmo.
Thanks, guys!
So now moving on to the news. Not a whole lot happened this week, which honestly, kind of nice. I could use a little break every once in a while on this news.
Yeah. It's nice to have a week where there's no, crippling controversy going on.
There's been some, kind of low tier stuff that's been happening, and that's totally fine. Nothing that we're going to talk about too seriously, but there are leaked Pokemon from Pokemon Sword and Shield. Now, we are not going to be discussing very in-depth on this at all because we want to be very sensitive, that's the S word, sensitive to people who do not want to be spoiled on anything. But check out our website right now if you haven't seen these. We have all kinds of pictures up. I have a feeling that there's going to be even more as the days go on. But we have leaked images of evolutions of the starters, at least of Grookey and Sobble. And it looks like we have the third evolution of Grookey as well. And then a couple of brand new Pokemon. And some of them are really great. I like... okay, being really, really vague about all of this, I like Grookey's third evolution. I do.
Correct. Yeah. No, that looks really kind of cool. And I really like the way that they decided to, take that route. It is definitely more unique if this does happen to be a true leak, which we're close enough to the launch of the game that I think this is
it looks
pretty accurate.
It looks pretty official.
Yeah. No.
Very much like that third one. So, have a conversation with us, guys. I want to talk more about this, but I want to be sensitive to people who don't want to get spoiled on it. So, write into us, nintendoeverythingpod@gmail.com, and we'll talk about it.
Absolutely. These Pokemon look really cool.
Oh, I love this one that, God, I don't know. I want to try and say something that isn't obvious, but I love this the one with the coin. I love the one with the coin. No, you don't say that. Don't say that.
I like the one with the coin too. I like the little elephant guy.
Me too. The elephant is so precious. He's a precious little baby. He's my favorite.
Oh my god, that little fox and that little fox's evolved form.
I hate the evolved form.
The one with the mustache.
I don't like the evolved form at all. Like, that's always my problem with Pokemon, is that they always try and make him like a little cool or something like that, and it always just kind of looks lame.
He looks like a gentleman thief, and I love it.
The tiny one looks like a young, wise soul. You know what I mean?
I'm going to catch one, and I'm going to name it Renard.
Oh, I'm not going to put this in the podcast, but his tail is like a bonfire.
I know.
I love it. Oh, and it looks like there's an evolved form of the one with the coin, too. I'm excited to see that one.
Yeah, I want to know more. I wonder if this is like the same Pokemon, but it switches depending on the environments. Because a lot of the new Pokemon that they've been coming out with have that similar thing. Like,
yeah.
What was the other one that changes halfway battle, whether it's like hangry or not?
Yeah. The hangry little mouse guy. He was not a mouse. He was like a hamster, Hamtaro or whatever the hell is his name.
Yeah, exactly.
And then we also got the second evolutions of Grookey and Sobble, and I don't really like them. I don't like either of those.
Well, and I mean, mid-tier evolutions are never as exciting as what you're going to get in the end, so...
I don't know. Sometimes I like them better than the ones you get in the end, because I usually don't like the ones in the end too much.
Really? So what mid-tier evolutions do you like for the starters in the past?
I really like Ivysaur and Wartortle.
Okay, I can see that. I can see both those, actually.
I like Wartortle because of his ears. He's got the weird ears that they never went with for the third one. Oh, the Fennefox or whatever it was called. I liked that one's mid-tier evolution a lot.
Yeah.
Honestly, that little fox, that little Firefox was Fennefox or whatever the hell it was called. All three of its evolutions or forms were really strong in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. That game had some pretty good starters in that one.
What game was that? Was that XY?
Yes, I want to say so.
We're probably really wrong.
No, I want to say it was X and Y, because It was right before Sun and Moon.
So, anyway, we're going to leave it at that. We want to keep things, very vague for people who don't want to be spoiled. But let us know if you want to talk about... Wait. Let us know if you want us to talk about it, because then, you know what? We will, because we'll talk about it at the end of the show in a listener segment or something like that if you guys request it. And then, I feel like it's at the end of the show and you can be like, you know what, guys? We're going to have to duck out right here if you're sensitive, Sally.
Yeah.
So moving to the news, we got a bunch of little tidbits of information coming out of Nintendo's financial results. Lots of really strong software sales and hardware sales. Switch is currently at just under 42 million units sold.
That's amazing.
I know, in just under, 2.5 years basically.
Yeah.
A little under 2.5 years, I think. Well, this is for the end of September, so it doesn't count anything from October. So yeah, 2.5 years. And that's only 2 years of holiday seasons as well. And holiday seasons are, of course, like the biggest of the year. By the third year, we could see the Switch at probably 50 million by its third year anniversary.
Easily.
Yeah.
Especially because you have not only the Switch Lite, which has come out, but you also have all of the potential now that you have a more portable console to come out with those special edition ones, which will entice people to want to buy the same console again and again.
Yeah, they did report that the Switch Lite is being purchased as a second Switch for a lot of households.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think is one of the major markets that they were trying to hit with the Switch Lite.
Oh, absolutely.
And just in that 1 month, because the Switch Lite came out when we were in Japan, and that was in September, and this only goes till September 30th, these sales, so just in that 1 month, the Switch Lite sold just under 2 million units. And then Switch software for this quarter was 36 million. Well, just under 36 million in just this quarter alone.
That is a lot of games.
Tons of games, just in the quarter, too.
Mm-hmm.
We're seeing that people who own Switches are playing them. You know, like that might sound really stupid, but lots of people will buy a system and then kind of only buy a game every once in a while, or kind of forget that it's in their house or something like that, or they use it as their multimedia stuff and not really as their game system so much.
Mm-hmm.
This is really amazing that people are just using their Switch and buying lots of games for it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
But I mean, what else is new? I'm really happy to see Nintendo doing well. I want to see I've said this before, I want to see all three companies doing well because it drives more competition and creates, well, in theory, fosters a good environment for creativity and innovation.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And also it opens the door for more people to want to, or to have options for what kind of games they want to play. If you want something that is more portable, something that is more for a
Stranding type of audience.
Exactly. Yeah, it's just, I feel like there's an avenue of people who want to play AAA games, people who want to play indie games, and certain consoles kind of cater more to those audiences than others.
We also got an update on the Million Sellers Club for Nintendo Switch for first-party titles, and king of the crop is Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, of course, at 19 million units sold. Just Mario Kart is the franchise with the most legs, you know?
People really like that Mario Go-Karts.
Yeah, it's a good game, so it deserves it. But something that really surprised me is that number 2 is Smash Bros. Ultimate at just under 16 million.
Mm-hmm.
That's so cool. Like, I didn't think that Smash was going to be that popular. Like, of course, it's a very popular game.
I knew it was. I knew it was going to be that popular.
But I mean, this popular? Like, this is the best-selling Smash game in the entire series.
Yeah, but you forget, everyone is here.
Oh my god. Listen, once Terry Bogard is there...
Terry Bogard.
That's all I'm going to say. Terry Bogard. Teddy Bogard. And then another game that I really want to point out from this list is Fire Emblem Three Heroes, selling 2.3 million.
Good.
This, I believe, is the best-selling Fire Emblem game in the entire series, which is amazing because this series was dead just a handful of years ago. Awakening was going to be their last-ditch effort. And then it was super popular, and since then, Fire Emblem went from like a C tier, or maybe even a D tier. And like, yeah, at that time, I mean, it was F tier because it was going to die.
I don't think it was that far down.
Yes, it was, for sure. Now it's a B tier. It's like a B plus tier. You disagree? What?
Yeah, like, I'm just thinking about it. Fire Emblem has always been one of those games for me that gives that kind of Nintendo branded hype to go along with it. Like,
sure, but like when? In the last couple of years? Yes, but before that, it was not a popular series. It's a long-standing series for sure, but it dipped in terms of popularity. It was struggling in the West because they never released it in the West, you know?
Was Awakening the first one that they came out with for the 3DS?
Yes.
Yeah, that's when I really saw a rise in popularity for it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, because that was supposed to be like that was their last-ditch effort. It was their last resort because the series had not been performing well in the West and not strong enough in Japan for it to continually be made. And then when the 3DS game came out, Awakening, that's when everybody, like, it sold super crazy. Everybody was like talking about Fire Emblem, and then they kept selling from there and making new entries that were killing it. And then it's culminated with this one on the Switch. So only in that time span.
Maybe you're right. Maybe you're right on this one.
I'm always right, Galen.
Well, let's not go that far.
Well, let's go that far.
I'm trying to think back as to what games did they have before Awakening, and really the only ones that I can think of are like the GameCube versions before that.
There was a GameCube game, a Wii game, and then there
was there a Wii game?
Yes.
Oh, that one went completely over my head.
That's what I'm saying. That was the game that was released, I think, before the 3DS one. And there was also games on the DS. There were games on the GBA as well.
Well, I know the GBA.
Yeah, that first game on the GBA, that was like the 7th game in the series or something like that. And that was the first one to come to the West. And that one I think did pretty well, but then after that, all of the games after that, before the 3DS, didn't perform very well.
Radiant Dawn was the one that came out. That's right.
Yeah. Well, don't even pretend like you brought that up from your mind palace. You got that from Wikipedia.
No, I totally got that from my friend Google over here.
So anyway, Fire Emblem Three Houses killing it. It's a great game too. That game deserves it. So I'm really happy to see how well it's selling. Like, that's awesome. And then just in that month alone, because Link's Awakening came out. God, when did Link's Awakening come out? In the middle of September, right?
It came out the same day that Untitled Goose Game did.
And that was when?
September.
But have you been listening to me? So is it the middle of September or the beginning of September? When?
I want to say it was...
You're zero help. Anyway, in under a month, whatever that means, Zelda Link's Awakening sold over 3 million copies. So that's a pretty big number. Galen's Googling right now, I bet.
I am Googling it.
He's Googling his
Googling
shame.
it right now.
It's like, you were so not helpful. I was like, oh, so Link's Awakening, when did that come out? And you were like, oh, I think that's a Nintendo game.
September 20th.
So from September 20th to September 30th, it sold over 3 million copies.
Hey, people really like Toy Zelda.
They need their Zelders. Even though the visual style was divisive and, some people were like, well, it's a remake of an old game, so it shouldn't be $60. That game still sold over 3 million copies.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, I don't get that argument very much. It was a remake from the ground up, right?
Oh, yeah.
I understand if they're trying to say that, well, in parity with past projects that have been remade from the ground up, like, let's say, Trials of Mana, or, what was that game? Shadow of the Colossus. Neither of those games were released as full-price titles. They were released as, $50 titles or something like that. And my argument is that they should have been $60 titles because they were released from the ground up.
You also have to look at the quality of the actual remake itself. Like, in this case, it wasn't... Yeah, it was... It's almost a completely different game compared to what it once was.
Now, what I do have a problem with is Nintendo re-releasing updated ports of their games like Donkey Kong, Tokyo Mirage Sessions, New Super Mario Bros. Deluxe, releasing those at $60 titles. Those should be $50 titles max.
Yeah, and I think we're in agreement with this one.
Yeah, that always bothers me. But, I mean, in a business sense, they're selling, right? So... What, is the business going to turn away free money? You know what I mean? They're still killing it. They're selling better than their original Wii U versions and stuff. So I understand from a business sense why they wouldn't be selling them less than $60. But me personally as a consumer, I hate me personally. Oh God, I hate when people say that. That's one of my pet peeves.
Yeah.
But me as a consumer, I'm like, sell it at 50 or less, please. It's an updated port.
Well, this might be getting into a larger topic, but I feel like the idea of $60 as the standard price point for video games is kind of a flawed way of looking at the quality and the effort that's put behind a video game.
Oh yeah, I don't think that.
Especially when you get into the complexities of, ports versus remakes versus, packaged collector's editions or Game of the Year editions. Regardless, I'm really impressed that this game is selling so well in such a short amount of time.
Yes, that's the takeaway for sure.
Absolutely. Go Toy Link.
And then Nintendo, as they always do with these quarterly financial results, they showed their launch schedule for upcoming products for Nintendo, and they highlighted that, of course, Ring Fit Adventure, Luigi's Mansion 3, Pokemon Sword and Shield, Dr. Kawashima's Brain Training for Japan. Those are the games that are coming out for the remainder of the year. The big ones, at least, that are published by Nintendo.
Yeah.
Oh, and then Dr. Kawashima's Brain Training for Europe is coming out January 3rd. So basically, yeah. And then for next year, the only thing that we really have confirmed is Tokyo Mirage Sessions, Animal Crossing's New Horizon, and Xenoblade at some point in the year. Other than that, we don't really have anything else for 2020.
I'm going to be busy when Xenoblade Chronicles comes out, so...
Yeah, I know, right? You jackass. God. Oh, who wrote into us recently? Was it... Oh, God. Hold on. I'm trying to remember his name. It was a really simple name. Was it Jay? I think it was Jay. Jay, send Galen some hate mail. But anyway, some people are, I don't know, like Alzheimer's patients. And they're like, Nintendo has nothing coming out for 2020. And I'm like...
They got a lot of stuff coming out.
We do this every year. We do this not only every year, we do this like every quarter nearly. They're going to make some announcements. So I'm excited that they don't have anything really listed because that means that they're just going to surprise us with exciting announcements coming out.
Absolutely. Do you think we're going to be getting a new, one more Nintendo Direct this year?
I feel like it would have happened around now if it was going to happen.
You don't think we're going to get like a mid-November Direct? Because they haven't been having a tendency lately of just kind of dropping that without what's the word?
Notice?
Not without notice, but unceremoniously.
Okay.
They've had a tendency of dropping it unceremoniously on us.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to pinpoint what they've been doing, and I don't follow the Directs. I'm not like one of those super crazy, fans of the Directs where they have to follow what are their past tendencies with Directs in the past years, so that way they can figure out, oh, well, we're probably going to get one around November, whatever the hell. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe we will, maybe we won't for November. I thought that they would do a mini Direct to hype up Pokemon or something like that, or to show off some new features, some new Pokemon, stuff like that. So I'm wondering if maybe we're going to get that in the next couple of, maybe next couple of days. I don't know. It's so hard to pinpoint that,
This would be the perfect time to have one more, and sometime either this week or most likely, sometime this week. We would, if we're going to get one, it would probably be around now.
Because they do want to hype up games that are going to be coming in the beginning of January for people who are going to be purchasing a system at the end of this year, right?
And especially when their big IPs start to come out with new games. Like, they definitely want to try to get as much notice around that as possible.
What?
Well, it's like Pokemon is like one of the best-selling Nintendo games that are out there. If you look at all the games in the franchise. No, I'm just saying that it would make more sense because Pokemon is going to be coming out very soon, that they try to get just a little bit more publicity, and having something like a Nintendo Direct would definitely turn a lot of eyes towards the fact that Pokemon is going to be coming out this week, or this month.
So you're saying they should do a Direct for Pokemon to promote Pokemon?
Not necessarily, but they should definitely...
I'm pulling the words out of your brain throat. I'm trying to figure out, what are you saying?
They should definitely have a Direct. I do not think it should be a Direct purely on Pokemon, because at this point, I mean, it's not going... They don't want to give away too much. But I do think that it would be nice if they came out with one more bit of Pokemon news, like, hey, these are the evolutions, or what a spoiler cast of what everything evolves into, or something. Just something to get the buzz talking about Pokemon a little bit more, with it right around the corner.
And then lastly, coming out of the financial results, they mentioned Shuntaro Furukawa, the Japanese president, I said it again, the president of Nintendo Japan, he mentioned something interesting about the 3DS. He said that they're going to try and bring over more 3DS franchises to the Nintendo Switch, which we don't know exactly what that means exactly, so...
Yeah.
I figure, screw it, let's just talk about some 3DS games we'd like to see coming over to the Nintendo Switch. Let's just have some fun.
Now, are we talking about the franchises as a whole? Are we talking about remakes of 3DS games?
It's whatever. It's whatever you want. It's fun. So kick it off, Galen. What's a thought that you have of a game you want to see?
So I've been trying to think of a lot of the franchises that I would want to see come over to the Switch, and I kind of made the realization that a lot of the big selling ones, we already have kind of seen some sort of evolution and continuation of it. Of course, we got the Pokemon games coming out. We know that there's going to be a new Metroid game coming out.
I want to see Metroid Samus Returns HD update with extra content coming to the Switch. I'd pay $60 for that.
Metroid Returns, the final chapter. Metroid returns because she forgot her keys.
You mean Samus?
No, it's a female Metroid that forgot its keys.
Oh my god, you are such a liar. You are such a liar. You don't even know.
But I was trying to think of something that was a little bit more 3DS specific. A lot of the smaller games, I would like to see make iterations on the Switch. I mentioned this in the past, but I would love to see more Phoenix Wright games come out.
Oh, yeah.
I would love to see more Professor Layton games come out, too.
Ah, yeah. We do have some that are already out in Japan and a couple that are on the way to the West.
Mm-hmm. I was actually looking at that list of upcoming software publisher titles lineup. And one of them coming out is Layton's Mystery Journey.
And which one is that?
I don't know, actually.
Is that the first one?
No.
I know the first one... Oh, God, hold on. Am I misremembering this? The first one I thought already came out in Japan on the Switch. Am I wrong?
Maybe? I'm not too familiar with what came out on the Switch, so... Of course, I would love to see a continuation of the Battle Network series come out.
Of course. Any chance you get to talk about that?
Seriously. You know what? I would also just love to see a continuation in that universe. Because Battle Network was mostly on the Game Boy Advance. They did come out with one game for the DS. And then they switched over to Star Force, which was I never got into because they completely changed up the way the battle system actually works. But the premise of the world went into a network and internet-based society as opposed to a robotic society, which is where like the two timelines split in the Mega Man universe. I would love to see continuation in that network AI universe.
Yeah.
And I think the Switch would be a great home for that.
You know, we're not talking logically or anything like that. We're just kind of talking for fun anyway. And plus, that's a Capcom property, and you know what I mean. We're throwing all those things out of the window right now. We're just having fun. But
Absolutely.
I honestly don't think that Capcom would do that just because lately they haven't been taking a whole lot of chances on games like that. They've been making safe bets on games, which is, you know, it's good to see them at least doing that. But they haven't made a lot of chances on the smaller or the mid-sized franchises, you know.
Yeah. And I know all the games that I mentioned were kind of like Capcom-owned titles or just,
okay.
you know, other publisher titles. But again, when it comes to the Nintendo ones, like, we've seen Zelda games that have come out. We've seen Mario games. We've seen other games like that. The only thing on the 3DS that I can think of is Kid Icarus. I would love to see a Kid Icarus game on the Switch.
Yeah, a lot of people say that. But I don't know. I never got into the 3DS one, but I think a lot of people love that one.
I think you couldn't get into it because I couldn't get into it because of the controls.
But some people love those controls. Sakurai gave himself carpal tunnel because of those controls.
I think Sakurai was just wanting to give himself carpal tunnel. He just needed an excuse to do it.
Doesn't make any sense.
But, I would love to see kind of an on-rails game like that come out to the Switch. And I think you can switch between the motion controls of the Joy-Con, or you can have the traditional thumbsticks as far as, like, playing it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't care about that one.
I think it would be...
I'm sure lots of people would be happy, though.
I think so, too. What franchises would you like to see come out?
I, of course, was thinking about my beloved JRPG series.
Bravely Default.
Yes, I want to see a Bravely Default collection.
Yep.
I want to see Shin Megami Tensei 4 collection.
Okay.
And I want to see Ever Oasis get an updated remaster. I want to see all these beautiful things happening.
You know, I was always really interested in Ever Oasis, but I never played it.
It was really good. The battle system was fun, and playing with 3 friends was fun. It felt a lot like Secret of Mana, and it was made by the guy that worked on the Mana series as well.
That's kind of what I got the feeling of, and it always looked something that would interest me.
It was like a Mana spiritual successor. It was really fun. It had a couple of flaws to it, but it was a really good multiplayer experience, and especially rolling that into like online multiplayer, that'd be great.
Yeah, I would definitely love to see that come out on the Switch. Also, I just thought of a couple more for myself. I would love to see the puzzle game Pushmo.
Yeah, of course.
And just as an easy like $15 indie game download for it, like I would be happy with that.
Yeah, I would like to see Nintendo trying out the smaller games like that are digital only, that are, $10, $15, those kinds of price range, because that means they can take some chances on these smaller little bite-sized things.
And we've definitely seen the kind of support that you can get with that, like with Cadence of Hyrule.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that was a great collaboration and an example of taking kind of a smaller indie game and propping it up with the power of Nintendo's IPs, what you can do with that.
I also want to see a Persona Q collection of 1 and 2. I feel like that one is genuinely in the cards. I don't know if it's going to be a collection, but I feel like they're going to port that over, because 2 came out so late in the 3DS life cycle, especially in the West, that I don't know. I don't think that they're going to let that thing stay on the 3DS.
I want to see a sequel to the best game ever, Tomodachi Life.
Oh my god. There already was one. It was called Miitomo.
And what was it? Fantasy Miitomo or something?
Just Miitomo, wasn't it? Wait, no. Miitopia.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah. So play that one.
Bring it to the Switch and I will.
Oh my goodness. On the topic of, music games, because there was a lot of rhythm games on the 3DS, because, just kind of playing with that screen in your hand. Put it on the Switch. Put frickin' Theatrhythm on the Switch. There's a couple of different Theatrhythm games. There's even a Dragon Quest one. Dragon Quest is doing really well right now on the Switch, thanks to the support from Nintendo. Put a Theatrhythm game on the damn Switch. Theatrhythm Ultimate.
Back for the DS, I can't remember if it was the DS or the 3DS, but I actually played it was the DS. I played Guitar Hero for the DS, where it came with a peripheral that actually had the 4 buttons that you would plug into
God,
the...
I forgot about that.
It was so bad. It was so bad.
Wow.
I definitely did not buy it. I'm trying to remember how I got my hands on it.
You stole it.
Maybe?
Yep. Reveal your dirty secrets. And I also want to see another entry in the Elite Beat Agents and Os Tatakai o Endan series. Yeah.
Yes.
I want to see that. Those games were really fun.
Although I don't know how you would do that on the Switch, if I'm going to be completely honest.
Why?
Because so much of that game had to do with the interaction with the touchscreen itself. And while you could do that, you can only play it in portable mode. I don't know how you can translate that and still get that same dancing over the screen effect like you did in Elite Beat Agents over with just a controller.
Just make it a handheld only game.
I feel that's really limiting.
They've already done that.
With what? What Switch games have they done that is only in handheld?
Not a Nintendo published title, but Severed was, I believe, handheld only, because the
Severed. Which one is that?
It's a dungeon crawling indie game made by, I think it's Drinkbox Studios. They're the people that did Guacamelee. It's a fantastic game.
Oh, okay.
And then Nintendo has already done that themselves with like Mario Party, where it's not allowed to be played in handheld mode. So, you know what I mean? It's just the inverse.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay.
And they already have a console that is handheld only, so I don't think that that's a tall order for them.
I mean, I guess you're right, yeah.
Especially for a rhythm game. Those games are definitely designed to be played portable.
It's true.
With headphones on and everything like that, laying in bed, being a huge garbage. A garbage.
I just thought of another one.
What?
I would love to see what they do with the Yokai Watch series.
Yeah, I mean, that's already making it to Switch, though.
Is it?
My goodness, you need to stay informed on the news. You don't even pay attention. Yes, Yokai Watch 1 is already on the Switch in Japan. Yokai Watch 4 is also on the Switch in Japan.
Well, it looks like my wish was granted in that one.
Don't even use that as an excuse for your negligence.
I'm just happy that Level 5 is still making games.
Yeah. Finally, putting a bow in this one. This needs to be happening. I don't think that Nintendo would do this as a collection. They're going to sell them separately, I'm sure, because they just do this. But Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask 3D need to come to the Switch with a remaster. Those versions look so nice. They need to just come to the Switch.
Yeah, but I don't know.
What do you mean you don't know?
I don't know. Like, I'm sorry.
What an easy
I was nice.
penny for them.
It was yes, it would be incredibly easy, but I will not get excited if they decide to do remakes of those games.
Not really a remake, just an updated port of the 3D ones, because the 3D ones are already visual remakes. And a lot of gameplay elements were changed too.
I think it's too soon. I think it's way too soon to bring it out.
What do you mean too soon? They are re-releasing a whole bunch of crap on the Switch all the time. We just mentioned 1 million games. What are you talking about? Explain yourself.
Because the original games are, X years old, and then they did a remake of it, and now we're going to be doing another remake of it?
No, not a remake. I already said updated port.
Okay, updated port to an updated port to an updated port.
You just don't even listen. You don't listen.
Now we're just arguing semantics.
No, we're arguing that you need to be on top of the ball right now.
And we're arguing that you need to understand that it is way too soon for these games to be re-released, when there's so many other things that they could put their money to.
That is so not true. You're saying that Zelda is too soon to be re-released? The Ocarina of Time 3D remake came out in 2011? 2012?
And when did it come out before then?
The 64 game was 97 or 98.
Okay. So, what
is
I want
your
to play
logic here? Explain yourself. I'm going to let you talk yourself in this little corner.
You are still playing Breath of Fire, whatever, in your spare time, as opposed to playing anything new. So, I know you wouldn't be able to understand my logic on this. However, why would I want to play a 20-year-old game and pay $60 or whatever for a 20-year-old game versus seeing the money that would go into refreshing that, making it for the system, and coming up with something new and exciting and enticing?
Because those are not mutually exclusive. They could outsource Ocarina of Time 3D just like they did with Ocarina of Time 3D and a whole bunch of other Zelda, updated ports to a remastering company. And then that's going on simultaneously from when they're working on something else.
I'm just saying, I will not be excited if they come out with remakes of those two games.
That's fine. You make no sense.
That was the most succinct and coherent I've been this entire podcast.
It made no sense. What is your argument? It makes no sense. That it's too soon, so we have to wait until when?
The next console. The Switch 2. Electric Boogaloo.
I hate you. Let's end this show. Last bit of news, which is just a little brief thing, is a speculation that the Terry Bogard DLC for Smash Bros. Ultimate is probably going to be happening pretty soon. Going to be dropping pretty soon. The official DLC page for the game lists the fighter as coming soon. The previous description said November 2019, and a new private video has recently been uploaded to the official Smash Bros. YouTube channel, which might be a trailer or some kind of gameplay or something for Terry. So all signs are sort of pointing to a new release coming pretty soon, like maybe this coming week, but we'll see.
I actually did open up Smash Bros. The other day just to kind of play around with it, and I would be excited to see this character finally launch, especially to see what they do with like his movesets and abilities? Do they go with you're actually entering in the fighting combos like they did with Ken and Ryu, or are they trying something new or something different with this guy?
Yeah, I wonder what they're going to do, because with the DLC characters, they've been doing pretty unique stuff, except for Banjo. He was kind of the less...
Banjo was pretty basic, yeah.
Yeah, compared to the other ones. Mm-hmm. So I'm interested what they're going to do. I feel like they're going to do something interesting with him.
Which I think is fine. I think if they made Banjo too complex, it might actually had thrown up some resistance there.
Throw up resistance, yes. When Terry Bogard releases, I'm definitely going to turn on my Switch so I can play around with him. I'll tell you what.
Whoa!
Love me some Terry Bogard.
Also, seeing their past history, I can definitely understand, and I support the idea that there is going to be a Nintendo Direct coming out soon, like this week, because if they did decide to, it would be very easy to throw that announcement of, oh, hey, by the way, Terry Bogard's live. Go ahead and download them now.
But I think what they've been doing, though, with some of the recent DLC characters is they've been doing, like, that Sakurai video where he sits at a PC and he's like, I don't have any money. Just watch me play the game.
Well, and actually, they have usually been doing that after the Nintendo Directs.
Okay.
Like, they show the Nintendo Direct and they immediately go into the live stream of him doing that.
Okay. Something's coming soon. Something for sure.
Yeah. I'm crossing my fingers.
If Terry, they're going to show off some sort of like move list and some sort of gameplay trailer for Terry at the very bare minimum, especially if he has unique inputs, you know? They're definitely going to show that off. They're not just going to launch it and be like, figure it out yourself.
Now, quick question. When he does launch, which would you prefer his playstyle to be like? Would you prefer him to have his own unique like moves and everything like that, or would you want it to be something kind of like what they did with the Street Fighter characters?
I really don't know, because I like that idea on paper, but when I play Ken and Ryu, and this might just be because I've played a ton of Street Fighter 2 in my life, I feel super weird. Like my brain immediately goes into like I'm actually playing Street Fighter 2. But it has weird movements like Smash Bros. So I can't actually play Ryu in Smash. As much as I want to.
Want
my
to keep
brain
holding
just
back
won't
to
allow
block.
Yeah, like holding back to block and just expecting my jumps to be smaller and, you know, holding R to... It's weird. The synapses in my brain fire off in totally different places that don't exist.
Yeah, no, I understand that.
So I really don't know what I want.
Hopefully we'll figure it out soon.
Can't wait for Terry Bogard. And I just had the thought, I hope that one of his alternate costumes, because once in a while for characters they'll do an alternate costume that's, you know, pretty different than the others. Like Samus with her underwear basic costume. Same thing with Shulk. I hope that one of
Terry's... It is underwear basic costume.
It is, yeah. I hope that with friggin' Terry, one of his alternate costumes is the Fatal Cutie female version of Terry. I would love that so much. I want that. I want that.
That's part of the reason I made the joke earlier.
I won't play as it. I'm going to play as the male version because eye candy, but... so good.
Terry Bogard.
Terry Bogard. Alright, let's move on to some DLC.
DLC.
追加コンテンツ. Galen, what are you recommending?
I'm recommending people go play D&D. No, this week I've got a video series called What They Don't Tell You About Blank, and it's specifically about D&D monsters. And this guy, Mr. Rex, he covers a bunch of different creatures. He does mimics and dragons and golems and giants, but what he does is he looks at how the creatures were developed throughout all the different editions of D&D, as well as like some of the other like official publicized whatever that kind of like breaks into the history and gives an ideal of what it's like to actually play those characters and what the history of those characters are. Which, for somebody who is a DM and is writing and using these characters that is kind of interesting because it brings up, like, he did a series about, it was wood nymphs, that there were a lot of facets about them that I had no idea. And
Did you say, hold on.
I said wood nymphs.
One more time?
Wood nymphs.
Okay.
What did you think I said?
I thought you said wood nymphs.
Nymphs?
And I was like that's a
N-I-M-P-S?
f at the It's not a p sound, but a f sound.
Yes, that's correct. Nymphs.
Yes. Okay. Go on.
But yeah, he does a lot of different monsters that he covers. The video that I have linked below is actually his one on mimics, which is kind of cool because there's more to mimics that they don't tell you about. So, yeah, definitely check it out, especially if you are interested in the world lore behind these kind of creatures.
All right. And for me, I am just recommending the new Stop Skeletons from Fighting video, Best and Worst Gaming Horror Remakes, featuring Matt McMuscles.
Oh, hey!
Yeah, two of my favorite gentlemen on the internet, two of the best boys of YouTube.
I think they did a what happened with, I think it was Dead Space and Stop Skeletons showed up on that channel too.
Yes, they also did that. And just two of my favorite YouTube boys talking about one of my favorite topics, gaming, horror gaming, that's the backwards, and video, watch it. This is good. This is real good.
Nice.
And now on to the favorite segment of both Oni, Dino, and Galen. It is the
Listener Mail. Bum, ba, bum,
He has been
bum,
listening
bum, bum.
to Christina Aguilera for sure. So if you want to be our friend on the internet, you can write into us at nintendoeverythingpod@gmail.com.
That email one more time is nintendoeverythingpod@gmail.com.
And your email might sound a little something like this.
So this week we have an email from Michael. Hi, Michael.
Hey, Michael.
Michael writes in, sorry.
Michael is Australian, so hey, Garen, mate.
G'day?
Oh man, I don't know if I told this story on the podcast before, but like one of my favorite stories from my Australian friend is we were in Japan, many moons ago when I was going to university there, and she was telling me, not me, but she was retelling this story to me. And she's like, no, we don't say g'day, and we don't say what's another like Australian thing?
Shrimps on the Barbie.
Oh, mate. She was like, yeah, we don't say that. And then as she's retelling this story to me, in the story, she said she went back to Australia from whatever country. And so she's in the customs, and she walks up to the customs agent in Australia. And the first thing the customs agent says is, "G'day, mate." And she was like, oh, shit. Like, oh, we do say that. And then, like, she got on the plane or something just before going to Australia, and she ordered an alcoholic drink to, make herself chill or relax for the flight. And then the Australian sitting next to her, like, nudges her, and he goes, "Nice one, Sheila." And she's like, oh. She's like so upset with her country. Because she's like, damn it, we do say this. Everybody stop being such a stereotype. Anyway,
excellent.
Sorry. I hope Michael enjoyed that story. Go on, Galen. I'm sorry.
Michael writes into us saying, "Hey, Galen and Only, longtime listener, well, as long as 50 plus weeks can be, and a first-time emailer," which is true. To begin with, I just want to say that I am loving the podcast, so great job, guys. I especially like the length of it, as some of the other weekly podcasts I listen to, don't worry, none of them are gaming related. I'm not a podcast cheater, or pod alterer, if you will.
Podulterer. That's what he's saying. I love podulterer.
I like the hint of cue Oni cringe.
No, I did not cringe, Michael. I loved it.
The other weekly podcasts I listen to are usually around the 40-minute mark, so it's awesome to have longer episodes to listen to. So, fun story. We totally didn't mean for this to be a 2-hour podcast when we
This
first
isn't going
started
to be 2
recording.
hour. We're going to cut out a whole bunch of it when we were like, oh, wait, hold on. I have to go do this or I have to go do that. This is going to be like an hour and 40 minutes tops.
Well, on average, we're a longer form podcast.
We're around an hour and a half, hour 40. Also, Michael, thank you. This is not the first time I have been complimented on my length.
But the first time that it was audibly said and not just something that he said to himself in a mirror.
That's too far.
Yeah?
That you went too far.
Oh, sorry. for
You have to let the joke sit in the undefined Galen.
For a little info on Michael, he is from Australia. I'm 30 years old and recently got married to a lovely lady.
Congratulations!
Congrats! I'm not sure how old the both of you are. I might have missed it if you mentioned it in an episode, but I've always assumed that you're a similar age to me or a few years older.
That is correct.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're right around that same age there.
We're a little older than 30, but yes.
Mm-hmm. That is... This assumption is based on the gaming references and frequent 90s TV show quotes. Also, loving the Always Sunny mentions as well.
Shut up, bird.
Oni, you bitch. Being from Australia, I should probably ask if either of you guys still keep in contact with Eric at all. I really did enjoy his initial input during the first several episodes, and once it came to the time of the co-host crossover, I was unsure as to how it would go. But within that same episode, I was pleasantly surprised
disappointed
to hear some good, insightful points made by Galen about whichever games you are discussing, and it's also been cool to hear about your long-standing friendship throughout the various episodes, so it's easy to see why you both make a good team.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. I know I'm the stronger part of this team. Don't mind bearing the majority of the weight. I understand that it's just
bearing the length of the weight.
Yeah, I mean, when you've got longer length, then sometimes you just gotta understand that with great power comes great power.
Go get a haircut.
Never. Also, yes, to answer your question, Michael, we do keep in contact with Eric. Eric does a YouTube and so many other different things. He's multimedia all over the place and putting his eggs in all different kinds of baskets. So you can check out his stuff. Go to his Twitter. It's Nintendo Numbers, and you can see all the stuff that he does there. I don't check his content like super regularly because he kind of goes for a slightly different audience than who I am, but he makes a lot of really wholesome content that is very sweet and kind. So I think if you enjoyed his initial input, you'll definitely enjoy the rest of the stuff that he's doing.
And he is also from Australia.
Well, welcome to Dursville, population U and Dur.
Nice one, Sheila.
You say that to ladies.
I stand by my statement. Anyway, I don't want to make this email excessively long, so I'll just ask a game-related question to tie it up. My question is for both of you. What is one game that you feel that you have invested simply way too much time into compared to how, quote, good or how long the main story is? It doesn't necessarily have to be a bad game, but for example, I don't know why I put nearly 150 hours into the game Kingdom New Lands on Switch, even though I finished the single-player campaign around the 10 to 15 hour mark. I would just play the same levels over and over, so much so that when Kingdoms 2 Crowns was released, I barely even played it. So that would be mine. Anyway, sorry for the kind of long read. I wish you both well, and I look forward to future podcast episodes. Thanks for writing in, Michael.
Thank you, Michael. And what a polite email, too. Like, how nice and what just sweet words that are just so nicely packaged.
Michael,
thank you.
Greatly appreciate you writing into us.
Yeah, and thank you for the compliments on us making a good team. I'm interested about hearing about this Kingdom New Lands, though, because I remember looking at the pixel art and being interested in it, but then I never bought it, and I don't actually know what the gameplay is. I didn't know it was anything like you can play 150 hours. Like, whoa, like, tell me about this game, Michael.
Yeah. No, we'll have to look into this a little bit more. But, going back to the question, Oni, what is one game that you have spent way too much time in?
Picross. Picross. I love Picross so much. I, especially on the 3DS, just would play over and over and over the Picross games. Like Twilight Princess, I beat it and then started over. I deleted all my data and then started all over again, and I just rebeat it again. Mm-hmm. And same thing with the Pokemon Picross. Like, oh, it's sickening just how many hours of Picross I've put into that. Wait, gameplay I've put into Picross, whatever. And then I guess another one, but to a lesser degree, would be like a lot of Warriors titles. Hyrule Warriors, I played so much on the Wii U, and then also on the Switch too. I've put in some good hours on that. And
there's so much that you can do in that game. So
yeah. Hyrule Warriors is just like bloated with, well, not bloated because that sounds bad, but just like stuffed with content. Lots of great stuff to do. And Fire Emblem Warriors, played a ton of that on the Switch as well. It's just so relaxing.
Yeah.
And I mean, those games they're well made, and they're just not breaking any new ground or anything. So, regardless of how good or bad or whatever, people have to say about it, just like Michael encouraged us to not think of. Where am I going with this? Love that game. Love Warriors games.
Yeah.
So good.
See, for me, the games that I feel like I've spent way too much time on are anything that involves grinding in the game itself. So, the first game that initially came to mind was the Dark Cloud series. Specifically because the weapon evolution system in that game I find so unique, and I love the fact that you evolve your weapons and you can break down other weapons to put those stats into it. And if a weapon gets enough points in certain elements, it becomes a brand new weapon entirely. And that's so fascinating to me. I remember I actually had like a complete flowchart that was either written out or printed out, and I would like meticulously plan, okay, these are the elements I needed to go into it because I ultimately want to get this one. And I started to recognize I was doing that exact same thing when I was playing the Monster Hunter games.
Interesting.
Because it's like when there's equipment that I can build up and eventually get to, I'm definitely going to be looking and hunting for those particular materials that I need to make that happen. And I also feel like that's part of the reason why I enjoy the Schluters as much as I do. Like, they totally got me on that. Borderlands and Destiny are really the only two Schluters that I really get into. I tried to get into, what was that one? The Division by Ubisoft, and it was fun, but it was a little bit too realistic when it came to like the weapons themselves, and it didn't do anything for me. I like that fantasy element that's subtly kind of like mixed in with it. But it's partly like, I like the feeling of progression, and I like that it is a very clear path in order to obtain that progression. And that's what just completely sinks it in for me when it comes to games. So
I do have to say, though, with kind of, the question of spending just too much time on a game or something like that, I don't have, like, when I think of spending too much time, I think of like having a regret on having spent that time, and I don't regret any of the time that I put into these games, really, because I find them to be such a relaxing and stress reducing way of unwinding in my normal life, because I use video games for so many different reasons.
Yeah, no, I'm in complete agreement with you on this one. I spent way too much time on it, but I have no regrets on how much time I actually spent on it.
I mean, you should regret all the time that you spent on Schluters. Just my opinion. Because you can't like what you like. I have to have sayings on it because I'm a gamer on the internet, and you don't like what you like, you only like what I like. Otherwise, it's an 80 on Metacritic and it sucks, just like Death Stranding, apparently. Have you heard about that?
I haven't heard anything about that. The game hasn't even come out yet. Why are people saying that it sucks?
It's because the review embargo just came up.
So
that lifted,
so 8 out
and
of 10
it's
too
a
much
bit
water.
divisive because it's not like a standard AAA title that is appealing to everybody. So it's a bit divisive, but not like super crazy divisive. It's just that some people have been giving it, 10s, and some people have been giving it 6s or 7s. And then people are like, oh, the game must suck or whatever. I don't know. Just like, who cares? Who cares what those people have to say? I'm glad that this game is slightly divisive because it's great to hear like a big old game like this, not being a, Spider-Man PS4 kind of game.
Yeah, exactly.
I like when people give critiques on games and, they know what they're talking about, but I'm not looking for a score. Like, that's what so many people are trying to focus on. Like, that means nothing to me. Like, I'm so glad that we don't use scores on our reviews. We use, recommended, neutral, or not recommended, basically.
Mm-hmm. And also, there's so many different genres and so many reasons that people play games. I mean, the reason that I play a game is completely different from what you do. So while I say, hey, Destiny is, a great game, I would highly recommend it, you're going to say, not my cup of tea.
Trash.
Exactly.
Absolute utter trash. I swear to God, I don't need a gun that I need to get another gun for.
But how else are you going to get that special gun? You need that gun.
And I need to fight the lightness and the darkness. Everybody from the moon. In the old world, it blew up.
Well, actually, during the Great Collapse, that's not exactly what happened. Let me tell you.
Oh, I'm deleting your voice right now. That's what I'm doing. So, like, with what I was saying, like, for example, Atelier Ryza, I'm playing that game and I'm having so much fun experiencing the cute interactions between the characters. But then, like, a game like Picross, I play that game in bed to unwind and just kind of do the equivalent of, like, a big old deep breath and sigh. It just feels really good to just be like, doing a few puzzles. Feels nice. And then I'll go back to Breath of Fire 2 or the Resident Evil remake and beat those games even though I know them like the back of my hand. And, oh, what's that on the back of my hand? But that is like comfort food. That's like a big old warm blanket for me.
Yeah.
And then I play something brand new like, Xenoblade or something like that. And that's like, whoa, what is this brand new story? Or playing Breath of the Wild, I'm like, oh, exploring this new world and whoa, wonderment. Like, it's just, you play them for all different kinds of reasons,
Mm-hmm.
And then I play Senran Kagura Reflections so I can rub my women and pet my women with my Mickey Mouse hands.
Yeah. Yeah. And especially with the special edition that comes with the mouse pad. Because really, mouse pads and body pillows, that's what makes a special edition of a game.
Oh, I thought you meant mouse as in like Mickey Mouse, and I was like, what are you listening to? Like, you don't make any sense. Oh, God. Okay, at Tokyo Game Show, there was, and it sold out, so I couldn't get it, but there was a mouse pad that was Nyotengu, who is a character from Dead or Alive, and a picture of her from the back, and her butt is sticking out. Her butt is sticking out from the mouse pad, and it's like the rest for your wrist. So it's a jiggly butt mouse pad, and I was like, oh, that's so stupid. I want it. I'm as gay as this podcast is long, but I want that Nyotengu bubble butt mouse pad. So thank you again, Michael, for writing into us. Galen, I love hearing from our listeners about, what we are doing right, what we're doing wrong. What kind of emails do you like to hear from our listeners?
I just love to hear people giving their own opinions on just what they seem passionate about. And I love seeing those different perspectives of passion.
Great answer. Yeah, I agree. Especially if it's something that I don't like or something that I don't know about, because I'm always excited to hear, like, oh, cool, why is Senran Kagura Reflections really working for you? Like, tell me. Honestly, I'll hear about it, because I'm never going to judge a person for liking a game unless it's like some weird like pedophile game or something. So, well, okay. I'm kind of doing, I don't know.
I was about to say, you judge me on the games that I play all the freaking time.
That's not true. I just judge you in general.
Well, yes, but the game playing is an aspect of that.
No. Your decisions are an aspect of it. Anyway, Anyway, just tell me about the games. Tell me about why you like your games and your passions about the certain things. So write into us, nintendoeverythingpod@gmail.com.
Yeah, and also, I made a joke about this earlier in the episode, but this is technically our, 50-second episode, so we will have been doing this for officially an entire year now. So, I will send a challenge out to everybody. Send in your favorite Nintendo Everything podcast memory for the past year.
Yeah, if you have a good memory of us that you like, let us know. I've been thinking about something. I'm not going to say what it is. I've been thinking about something, but you tell me what your favorite moments are from over the years, please.
That would be fun. Very cool.
Trey, cool. And then just before we wrap everything out, what? And then just before we wrap
said that with such exuberance too.
Before we wrap everything up is what I'm trying to say here. BlizzCon is happening this weekend, and there's a bunch of things happening there. Diablo 4 is coming out, not confirmed for Switch yet, but Overwatch 2 was announced. That's coming to Switch. And also, Activision Blizzard made this really, really shitty non-apology about the Hong Kong stuff, and boy, I can't wait to see how that turns out for him, because that was gross.
Maybe we'll have something more to talk about next week.
Or maybe we won't. I'm so tired.
Right.
So, what is coming up? What is coming out on the Nintendo... Nope, can't say it wrong. NintendoEverything.com. We have an interview that we did with the Sayonara Wild Hearts devs, Simogo. We're also going to be posting some excerpts from our interview with the devs from New Super Lucky's Tale.
Ooh.
We also have a review for Sky Gambler's Storm Raiders 2 and the Atelier Ryza review. So many things that are either out right now or coming out very soon on NintendoEverything.com. You must go there to check them all out. We also have really cool plans coming up in the future for our website. Got some great stuff in the future. So check us out. Also on the Twitter @NinEverything, the YouTube NinEverything, and you can view my Twitter @Oni_Dino for my definite mental breakdown that will be happening this month. This month is going to be probably the most trying time for me, and I might just, against my better judgment, write about some crazy stuff on my Twitter. But you can also see some wholesome stuff on my Insta @Oni__Dino, where I've been uploading some foods that I've been making because I like to cook a lot, so I like to be creative there. Tell me about your creativity. And then I also have the YouTube with my husband that we play some games on. That's YouTube. Game Married, GAYME Married. We are wrapping up, well, not wrapping up, but we are playing some Onimusha. We're playing some Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, Monkey Ball. And we got some other stuff coming down the pipeline as well.
Nice.
How about you, Galen?
Well, you can follow me on Twitter @Mobius087. And then you can also catch my Instagram @true_Mobius, which I think I'm actually scheduled to get a haircut this week. So maybe I'll be posting that and showing that up there. I haven't had a haircut in 2 months. It is out of control at this point.
Woof.
Yeah. So, however, I will say that whole beard straightening thing that I made mention of last week, it's been turning out pretty well, actually. A beard comb straightener is kind of a nice thing to have.
I didn't see any pictures on your Instagram. Did you put some up?
I should have. I might have
promised
forgotten
the
to hit
people.
send.
You promised.
If I haven't, you will definitely see pictures soon.
So friends, again, thank you so much for joining us. Please do give us a rating on iTunes and on all the other stuff, the platforms. iTunes is our biggest one, though. I saw there was a really nice review left by somebody so very kind. They said our banter was hilarious, that we have free reign on what we talk about. That show is show. genuine opinions and thoughts. Great at answering emails on the podcast. Ugh, thank you so much. Not really sure how to pronounce the handle name. Jamflyer? Anyway, that is just the sweetest. That is the sweetest. Thank you. I love to read reviews on here, but it's not just blowing smoke up my, this is specifically for us to get recommended through the RNG gods to new people. Please leave us a review.
Yep.
Say some.
Terry Bogard, though.
Oh, God. All right, so episode 52 sounds like that's burning. So I'm going to leave so I can eat a food.
And I am going to take care of my dog, which has hopefully been very quiet most of this episode. So
hopefully
either
been very
a good thing
quiet
or
this
bad
episode.
thing.
Your words also not so great.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of deterioration going on right now.
How's the podcast end?
For everything.
Listen to us next week. Yeah, listen to us next week or whatever, and stay tuned. Wait, no, for everything Nintendo.
Stay tuned to Nintendo Everything.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
素直になりたいそう思うたび素直になれないかっこいいと言われるたび No way, no way 悲しかった誰だってそうよ私もそう私と違うあなたが眩しい君もっとキュートに君もっとクールに君もっと違う輝きが欲しくなる君まっすぐさも君不器用さも君私未来輝きが欲しくなる今すぐに Please give it to me そうなんてつけないつきたくないどんな理由でも裏切られて傷ついても Always, always 正直さを光と影正反対な私と違うあなたが知りたい君結果のように君太陽のように君もっと違う輝きが欲しくなる君その秘密君こじ開けて君手に入れたい何もかも欲しくなるほら早く Please give it to me もっとクールに私と違うあなたが眩しい眩しい君もっとキュートに君もっとクールに君もっと違う輝きが欲しくなる君まっすぐさも君